Welcome to Wake Up the Echoes. This is episode 9, presented by TireRack.com. I'm your host, Tony Simeone. And yes, I know Notre Dame did not get the result they were looking for on the road at Clemson. It was a tough pill to swallow, a great environment down there, and Notre Dame came up just on the wrong end of that one. But they're 7-3 going into the bye, and as always, we had a chance to talk with the head coach, Marcus Freeman, about how they plan to attack the bye week and come out and finish the regular season on a high note. In addition to head coach Marcus Freeman, we talked to a couple of younger guys on this team. I've had a great time all year talking to the veterans, but this week we talked to running back Jadarian and freshman wide receiver Rico Flores Jr. It was great to talk to both of them about their respective positions and how they've adjusted to college football. Finally, we talked to Notre Dame athletic director Jack Swarbrick. He, of course, is transitioning out of the role at the end of the season, but this is his final football season. So we wanted to check in with him and check in on how he's assessed his time here as athletic director, specifically as it relates to the football program. So all those conversations are coming up, but as always, we start with the head coach Marcus Freeman, and here he is. Coach, here we are, going into another bye week. I know you're not going into this bye week the way you went into last bye week and not the way you wanted to go into this bye week, but let's talk about the game down in Clemson. Amazing environment being there. I had a chance to go down there and watch it. What happened? What did Clemson do that made it difficult for you guys to reach your potential down there in Clemson?
You know, it's a talented football team. They were well prepared. They played extremely hard, and they found a way to make those plays that can change the outcome of a game, and then as disappointing as it is, the outcome of the game, there was a lot of good. There was a lot of good, and there's a lot that we have to improve on. And, always the challenge is, no matter what the outcome of the game is, the mindset of improvement, the mindset of continuously getting better is what we have to have. And that's what these next few days will be about, right, is understanding that we're disappointed with the outcome of that game, but we have a lot ahead for us and a lot of great opportunities ahead, and there is no failure of a season. We have a lot to continue to play for, and we have to get our minds back to where it needs to be, attack the work that we have to attack, and finish off this season the right way. I
heard you just say something that I think is interesting because I listen to and consume a lot of other Notre Dame-related content, and you said there's no failure of a season. 7-3, there's still 2 games ahead of you. You can still get to 10 wins with 2 in the regular season in a bowl game. How do you communicate that? Because I think there is a tendency for fans. It's like, oh, we didn't go to the playoff. Oh, we aren't going to maybe go to a New Year's Six. There's still a lot to play for. And I know that you and the players feel that way, but how do you make sure to keep communicating that? Because you can watch college football and you can think at this point, what the heck are these guys playing for? There's nothing to do.
Yeah, I think we had a similar conversation after we lost to Ohio State or we lost to Louisville, right? Is that, okay, we're not going to be national champions this year. And all 130 teams are chasing that. And at some point, all 129 teams realize they're not going to be national champions. And so the competitive spirit that these guys have, that we have to have, will never go away. And the opportunity to go out and play in our 2 last regular season games and compete, and a chance to become winners of those 2 contests, and then to play in a bowl game and a chance to win that, you're going to look back and say, okay, if we had a chance to win 10 games, and 10-3, is that what we started out wanting? No, but if you go 10-3 and you look at this season, it's not a failure. We improved, and we have to continuously improve. And I'll say that once or twice because I want them to see the hopes of what the season can be. But then we have to go to work and go to work at our process that will give us a chance to finish off this season with 3 wins. And that's the challenge, right? Here's your hope. Here's what this season can bring if we finish off 3-0. But now let's do the things that it's going to take to continuously improve and make sure that we have a chance to finish off 3-0.
I think Clemson this past week's a great example of that, right? They're 4-4, and they brought everything. You could see how much that game meant to them. So hopefully it's like that for you guys. I want to talk about what happened on the field a little bit on both sides of the ball. So offensively, I look at it in those first couple drives, there were chances to score touchdowns, settled for 3. Then in the second half, it just seemed like the offense couldn't quite get in that rhythm. So what have you seen maybe in the last 48 hours when you watch it back and you get ready to go into these last 2 games? What are you hoping to see improve in the final 2 games offensively to let you guys execute a little bit better on that side of the ball?
Yeah, I think we started off the game obviously establishing our run game, but we weren't finishing those drives, right? We had to settle for field goals, and it's one play here, one play there that puts us in third and long situations where the percentage of converting 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, 3rd and 10 plus is not good, right? And so especially against a good defense like Clemson. And so what we have to do is eliminate that one play per series, per drive that puts us in a position where we can't finish in the end zone. And then, second half, we come out. Defense does a great job of giving the offensive ball on the 2-yard line. We score. Then we come back the next drive and go probably 70 yards, end up with a touchdown. And then we kind of stalled. And why? Why did we stall? They did a good job of adjusting to the run. And so we said, okay, there's 2 ways to attack this. We can continue to adjust the run with some lateral running plays, or we want to throw them out of stacking the box. And we didn't have success completing the balls for many different reasons, right? For protection, from the decision-making, from, at all different levels on their offense. And so we didn't flip the field.
The fourth quarter, the ball was just inside the 10 to start the drive.
And that is a result of all 3 phases.
Yeah.
It's not just the offense. Like defensively, we can't let them get first downs, right, to flip the field. And we got to make sure we flip the field in our special teams units. And so it's so easy to point at 1 or 2 things. And the only thing that does is it makes yourself feel better, right? You pass blame. If we would have just not threw a pick 6, or we would have not fumbled and muffed the punt, we would have won. Like that, okay, what does that do? That makes you feel better about the rest of it? No, there's plays all over the field, all 3 phases that must be improved on, and we got to go back to work and improve, right? Schematically, executionally, we got to improve and make sure that we're ready to go this next contest we have.
I want to talk about the defensive side of the ball because, as you said, it wasn't all bad. I thought the defense, the way they came out, I was on the broadcast saying when you guys came out of the locker room, it feels like they need to take the ball away. And took it away on, I think, the 3rd play of the second half. Xavier again with a pick, Benjamin Morrison. I watched the game, and just the secondary continues to play at a really high level, it feels like. As you've watched it back, what were the positives you saw, specifically on the defensive side of the balls? I thought they did a great job of keeping you in it and getting you a chance there at the end. Yeah,
they just kept battling. The first half wasn't up to our standard. The defense will tell you that. Just we want to create takeaways. We gave up a long 41-yard touchdown run, but they just continued to battle, right? And we played well enough to put us in a position to win that game. But there's a lot of plays that we have to correct so that each side of the ball is chasing perfection, right? And so that's the challenge, is to look at there's a lot of positives, really, though, on both sides of the ball. Okay. There were positives. There were some good things defensively, really good. And again, for 4 quarters, the way they continue to compete, they got another takeaway in the 4th quarter to give our offense a chance.
That one was crazy.
Yeah, it was. It was a resilient group that continued to battle. And I'm proud. I mean, they're playing at a high level. Coach Golden has that group rolling, but there's another level, right? And we got to continue to chase that next level.
You going into the bye week here, I know we talked coming out of last bye week, you would figure out what to do. This is a different kind of bye week because the team is here. They're in class as opposed to last one was fall break. So what will you guys do during this bye week with 2 weeks to prepare for Wake Forest? How will you guys spend it?
You got to visually improve, right? Watch film and look at the mistakes and how we can attack them. But you got to have 3 good physical work days. We got to go out and work at the weaknesses and deficiencies that we have. Like the challenge I have, let's enhance the strengths that we have on all 3 phases. We have strengths in all 3 phases. Enhance those, make them better. But really, we got to fix and attack the weaknesses that we're having at all 3 phases. We got to defensively continue to tackle better. We got to make sure we're stopping the run. We're really good in pass defense. We got to stop the run. Yeah. Offensively, we got to continue to enhance our pass game. We got to make our pass game better, right? Enhance what we're doing run game wise, but make our pass game better schematically and executionally. And finish in the red zone. We got to win in the red zone. We can't settle for field goals. And then special teams, it's just been the inconsistent, right? The punt return, the touchdown that we had versus Pitt, and then we muffed the punt, and our coverage wasn't great on punt. And so those are all things that you have to attack during the bye week before you really start preparing for Wake Forest.
Okay, I'm going to ask you a bit of a unique question, but I think it'll make sense. So we talked after Ohio State, and I remember the way you described the way you felt after Ohio State, like physical pain. So I'm going to give you some first-person perspective and then ask you a question. So I was calling the game in Clemson this week. It was a cool experience. And I found myself at the end of the game being there, watching you guys, as it went the wrong direction, like physically feeling like, oh my gosh, they were so close and came up on the wrong side of it. So I'm like 0.1% as invested as you are and the players are. So what does it feel like when you guys put in all the work? Because I think there's a sense out there. It's, I don't know. I just hear and read dumb things all the time, but it's like, what does it feel like when, because you guys are putting in the work and you just come up short? Like, what does it feel like after a game like that?
I think everybody goes through their own mourning process, right?
Okay.
Is that you go from wanting others to feel your pain. You go from, pointing a finger. I can point the finger as a head coach if this guy would have done it, if that guy would have done that. You go through the state of anger, right, where you're angry. And then you finally settle down and say, okay, hold on. Let's continue to evaluate. Let's not let the emotions cloudy the truth, the film, the reality of things. And then you got to get back to work. And as I've told the team, getting back to work and really finding ways to improve doesn't guarantee you victories. We got better last week. It didn't guarantee us a victory. We didn't get a victory. But that doesn't mean this team didn't get better. If we didn't get better, then we've failed as coaches. We're getting better. Like, that's the every week challenge, is to get better faster. But doesn't guarantee you a victory, right? And that's the challenge, is that in the midst of an outcome you don't want, can you still be motivated to get better and to improve? And that's as an individual too, right? You talk about the team, that doesn't guarantee victory. As an individual, we challenge our guys to get better. As individuals, that doesn't guarantee you a chance to start.
Right.
But it does guarantee you that you'll get better. And that's the only thing that we can control, is that we didn't get the outcome we wanted. Let's figure out why. Let's find a way to improve, and let's make sure that we are a better football team before this next opportunity we get.
One thing that's been fun to watch, Coach, is after you guys have not had successful results, you've been great coming out of them. So I'm looking forward to seeing how you guys bounce back out of the bye week. As always, thanks for the time. We'll take a quick break.
Awesome. Thank you.
This is our coldest moment of the week segment presented by Yeti. We always talk to two players, Rico, Flores, Jadarian Price, a couple of young guys this week. I'm going to get to your guys' coldest moments of the year, but I want to start with Jadarian because we were talking before we started recording. We got to get this on the record. So we were talking about hoops and one mixtapes, and you were saying that you didn't know who Skip to My Lou was, but you knew who the professor was.
Yeah.
So who's the professor?
I mean, the professor's just, the moves he did was like, I would always try to do them in my front yard with the basketball hoop. And I remember on YouTube, he would dress up as Spider-Man and show up to random courts and just, kill people.
He busts people out in public.
It was insane, but yeah, I tried to do those moves too. They didn't really work like in a real basketball game, but
It's a carry.
yeah. So.
Now, Rico, you never played basketball growing up?
I played a little bit, like
Okay.
with my cousin stuff, and I played on my middle school team. But
Okay.
it didn't keep going
Yeah.
in high school.
Did you care about M1 mixtapes growing up? Because this is like my generation. When I was like a little bit younger than you guys, it was the biggest deal in the world. And you caught the professor, but like Skip to My Lou, Hot Sauce, those are my guys. Did you follow it at all? Or?
Nah, I know who Hot Sauce
Hot
is.
Sauce is nice.
I know Bone
Sauce is
Collector, and the Professor.
Yeah.
Watched a lot of the Professor growing
Yeah.
up and Bone Collector.
All right. Okay. I don't feel too old now. The fact that you guys can talk a little bit of M1 mixtape with me. Let's do coldest moment. I want to talk about you guys' coldest moments of the season. I've got mine in my head for each of you, but I normally ask each player to talk about the other guy's coldest moment. So I'll start with you, Rico. What's Jadarian's coldest moment this season?
Coldest moment, as in like.
The best moment.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I thought coldest. You was talking about like the weather. Coldest moment, I'll say. For sure, USC.
Yeah.
That
Easy,
was-
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I put it to sleep.
Yeah.
USC.
What was going through your head, Jadarian, when you took that one to the house?
Man, as soon as I, took it to the right and seen a crease, I hit that seam as hard as I could, and I knew I was going, like, honestly, like, and, not a lot of people run that far in a game. I mean, it was 99 yards, but the way I maneuvered around the field is really like 130 yards if you think about it. But, I give a lot of props to my teammates for blocking that, and, it was wild. I didn't know what to do when I got in the end zone, and by that time I had already scored, 2-3 times before, but still, like, once you get in the end zone, it's like, man, like, that just happened.
Is the roar different in the stadium Because like kickoff return, people can go. They can all come up at the
Yeah.
same time and go, "Oh, he might go." Like, could you hear that as you made the play?
Yeah, I could definitely hear it as I was running. As soon as I passed like the 50 and I was on the race with the kicker, I could hear the roar from the crowd. So
Oh, must have been cool. What about Rico? What's his coldest moment you've seen this year?
Rico has a lot of cold moments, but I'd say that another big game for us was the Ohio State game.
Yep.
We were on the goal line, and Rico made that play. I remember watching. I was in the game at the time, too. I remember seeing that DB fall, and then Rico had the little slant or whatever, and he caught it in the back of the end zone. It was just, it was amazing to see how, the impact that had on the team. Like, oh, we're back in this. It was a ball game at that point, so I think that was Rico's coolest moment.
What was going through your head when you made that catch? First time in the end zone at this level had to be pretty cool, right?
Well, yeah, it for sure was cool. It's crazy though because all week I had not even repped that. I wasn't even the one doing that route. And then things happened in game. Players went down and certain situations changed. So it was just adapting to the situation, and we called it. I knew what to do. So I lined up. I had a plan in the head. And then I just executed, but then I seen a ball, me and Sam, looked at each other. It was weird. Everything happened so slow.
Yeah.
It happened slow motion. We looked eye to eye, and he just threw it. And I just made sure I secured it, caught it, came down with it.
You hit on something I wanted to ask you guys both about because we've had a lot of older guys, which is great. We love the old guys, but I want to talk to young guys because you guys have both had to make such a transition. It's so different, right? College from high school. This is your first year, so I'll start with you, Rico. But you mentioned, it slowed down in that moment. How much faster is college? What's been the toughest thing about adjusting to college, and how do you make it slow down when you can make those plays?
College is a lot faster, and I wouldn't say just speed faster, but just everything. Your thought process got to be way faster. You got to eliminate certain situations in your head, and you just everything that I say the mental part is faster.
Okay.
I mean, people are faster too, but that's not really a big thing. It's really the mental aspect of the game. So the more you know on what you the more details you know, the better you'll play, and how it slows down everything.
What about you, Jadarian? What have you noticed? You've been here a little bit longer, but still relatively new. What's the biggest change been for you? What have you had to adapt to the most?
I'd say in the game of football, at this level here at Notre Dame, you're playing NFL caliber guys, so those one-on-one opportunities are going to take a lot more detail and practice and skill, and that comes, work and practice, as Rico said. That attention to detail with those one-on-one against those, those good guys. But, I'd say that's definitely, the biggest challenge and change at this level, of college football. So.
I want to ask you about your Achilles, because when did you hurt your Achilles? Was it a little bit more than a year ago now? Was it the summer of last year, right?
Summer of 22.
22. So you're about 13, 14, 15 months out. What's the biggest challenge been? I heard you in an interview talk about how you got stronger. You put on more weight because you could, do some stuff. But what's been the toughest thing about getting through that process? Because I see Achilles and that looks like a tough one to come back from.
I'd say the toughest thing was just rebuilding that confidence. Confidence in my athletic ability. The confidence that I gained from other people. Do other people still have confidence in me and my abilities, quickness, twitchy, because I showed that before in the spring when I came as an early enrollee. And the biggest thing for me was just how do I gain that confidence in myself to, come back and show what I have. But not only that, just be even better than that and faster, stronger. So.
Who are the people that helped you get that confidence back on the team or on the staff?
Yeah, a lot of people on the staff. It starts with the training staff, guys like Rob Hunt, our leading athletic trainer, but he told me every day, one step at a time. It's a slow process, but once you get to the end of the process, you realize, man, all that work I put in, is helping. And I realized, all the calf strength and calf work I did, it actually increased my vertical from before I had surgery. So it was just interesting to see that. And the guys on the team there for me since day one, especially the running back room. Those guys just being here, and I love this team for having my back. And
yeah, I want to ask you guys a totally off the wall question here. I was talking to Javante Jean-Baptiste, I think 3 weeks ago, and he had put out a tweet over the summer. It's a really important question. He wanted to know what you thought was better, orange juice or apple juice. Do you guys have an opinion?
Want me to go first?
Yeah,
go
Rico,
ahead.
you go first.
I got apple juice.
Okay, apple juice.
So like
Ooh.
apple juice you can drink all throughout the day.
Everyone's been saying this. You the same way, Jadarian?
Yeah, I'm gonna say apple juice.
And why is that? Because you can drink it all day, or is there something about it that I'm missing here?
I think so. I think you could drink apple juice right before you go to bed. I feel like
Oh.
like yeah, like I feel like orange juice is like only for breakfast. I like orange juice, but I'm gonna say apple juice above orange juice.
Yeah.
Apple juice.
Apple
all the way.
juice.
Yeah.
Who was it? Who was here? It was Javante, and someone was we were trying to convince him he was wrong. I can't remember who he was with, but you could hear in their head they were like, "Oh wait," they said orange juice, and then the second they said it, they're like, "It's apple juice." Like he knew in his heart that it should have been apple juice. I want to ask about being a receiver because I find it to be one of the most interesting positions because you have to line up. And a lot of times you might be running a route and you know the ball's not coming to you. Or you got to run routes and you hope you get the rock and it doesn't come your way. Like, how do you develop the mindset to go out there, do your job every play, knowing that you might not get to be the one that shines at the end of that play?
Shoot, that's a lot of question. I say you just got to take every play like you're going to get the ball. So you're not surprised when it doesn't come to you or it does come to you.
Mm-hmm.
Like Coach Doug always says, be surprised that the ball doesn't come to you. Like, so therefore you got to do your route like the ball's coming. Like, even if you're the last progression, still the ball might be coming to you because you don't know what's going to happen in the pocket. Like, the pocket might fold, might be a rollout, scramble, drill. So you got to always be prepared.
Yeah. Well, at running back, it's not quite the same, but again, you get in the huddle and, like, your job could be a variety of things. It might not always be you're getting the ball. How do you get that similar mindset that I have a certain job, I have to commit to this one job on this play?
Yeah, it's just a mentality, and one of our pillars in the running back room is be a factor without the ball, and that's the same mindset as if you were running the ball, inside zone, outside zone, things like that. Because if you're a factor without the ball, then other people on offense have success, and then that just creates success for yourself because the attention maybe will go to the receivers after running back fakes a run, and then next thing you know, a running back will break a run. So it all works out for one another. So.
Last question for both of you guys before I let Jadarian take off is just about the final two games going into this bye week. I know it didn't go the way you wanted on Saturday at Clemson, but there's still two important games left, and you got some time to get ready for the next one in 2 weeks. Just what are you guys hoping to accomplish here? What's the focus going to be like as you get ready for the last two games? I'll start with you, Jadarian.
I say our next game against Wake Forest at home, we have a great opportunity to showcase our talents in front of our home crowd in Notre Dame Stadium. It's always great to play at Notre Dame Stadium. And, it's senior day, so, just being able to go out there and play for those great group of guys, our seniors, they've really paved the way for this program, and they continue to inspire me every day. So just getting ready for Wake Forest, and then I've never been to California. I know Rico's from California, but our last game against Stanford, I think my mom's going to show up, and, we get like a few hours off, so she's gonna make me some Thanksgiving because we won't get to go to
Thanksgiving week. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so she'll I think my family would come up for that game. So it's just the opportunity to play again at home and also travel to somewhere I've never been before. So it's pretty fun.
What about you, Rico?
I'll say this bye week, get everything cleaned up from the last game, get our details put together, and then move forward on with the next week, which is Wake Forest, and play at home and handle business. And then I'm excited about the
get back to Cali.
game. Yeah, because I got a lot of people coming. It's only like an hour 40, 2 hours away from Sac, so it's like a quick drive. So I got family coming there and take care of business there also.
Okay, I can't let you go now. So you brought up Thanksgiving. We got to just hit on this because I won't talk to you guys before then. Favorite Thanksgiving dish and then most overrated Thanksgiving dish. Jadarian, you go first.
This is controversial.
That's fine. This is the show for you then.
Yeah, I'm gonna say ham over turkey.
Oh.
Yeah.
So you're a turkey truther. You think it's overrated.
Yeah. I think turkey's
Actually, I'm kind of coming around on that. Sometimes it's dry.
Yeah.
It's just not really
if
what
it's
you
dry,
need.
It's not,
What side dish are you going for?
My mom's baked macaroni is the best, by far the best side dish I've had in my life. So.
All right. Shout out to Mom.
Yeah.
Rico?
I feel like turkey and ham both overrated.
Oh.
I don't like neither.
So you're just all sides?
Yeah. Pretty much.
Okay. And what's your side?
Stuffing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. When done right, it's really good. When it's not done well, it can be I'm staying away from it. But if you do the stuffing right, that's the place to be.
My auntie makes some good stuffing.
Okay. Well, then you should have her bring it when you're at Stanford.
I will.
Okay.
So.
All right. Have to bring the leftovers. All right. We'll let you get out of here and we'll bring in Coach.
All right, bet.
All right, Coach, we're here with Rico Flores, freshman wide receiver. I want to talk about the position because we've talked about defensive back and how tough corner is. I was just talking to him earlier with Jadarian about the difficulty of being a receiver sometimes. You got to run routes that might not be coming to you. When you watch the receiver play, just what's the toughest part about being a receiver in your eyes?
Well, the thing about it is you got to be so unselfish. You got to go as hard as you can, and you might never get a reward. And that's what I've learned about that position is that you truly – sometimes wideouts can be selfish. They want the ball. They want to score. Those guys like the ball, but you got to go as hard as you can for the length of the interval, and you might never get a reward. And that's part of the position. But you better make sure when that ball comes your way, you're in the right position, you're ready for it, and you're not surprised.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the toughest things about playing a wide receiver position.
Rico, I want to ask you about your upbringing a little bit and just how football helped you. I've read some articles about how football really helped keep you on the right path. Just what's the value of football been to you and how it set you up for success and ultimately able to come to Notre Dame?
Well, for starters, football is everything for me because, it kept me out of the way. It kept me focused on doing something after school, because I have school from 7:30 to 3:45, 3:50 maybe, and then practice is 5. So you got a little time to do your homework. Now you got to go do football, and that's all night almost. And then boom, you come home, take a shower, do homework if you didn't finish it all, and then repeat it every day. So I feel like football kept me out of the way for sure. And then my mom too. She kept me on
Shout out to Mom. Always shout out to Mom. What's it been like coming to Notre Dame then? Because you obviously got to manage a lot here. Maybe it's a little bit different, but school's a big commitment here too. I know it's been just 1 year for you. How's the adjustment been?
When I first got here, it was crazy. It was very crazy. The first 2-3 weeks, because first of all, from California. So that's 3 hours back. And then, so waking up, and I think I had lift at 6:15. Lift started at 6:15. So I'm waking up at 5, and that's what 2 o'clock at home. So it feel like I'm waking up in the middle of the night. So it was a lot. But as you go and you're maturing as the weeks go by and months go by, I feel like I'm at a pace where I can handle all of it.
What's your adjustment been like to the weather then out here?
When I first came, it was crazy. January, it was snow. I didn't see no sun for 2 months. So it was crazy to me. But everybody was like, it's normal. When I first seen the first snow, I was like, dang, it's snowing a lot. It was like, oh, that's nothing yet. I'm like, huh?
Toughens you up though a little bit, right?
Yeah, for sure.
You came here on a summer official visit, right? Did you come during the season at all? So I'm sure when he came in the summer, we said, hey, this is how it is 365 days a year, And when he gets here, then the reality hits.
That's how you recruit California. Right. We'll bring you out here in August, September, maybe just like that. You've coached a lot of different players that come in. What's the thing you see first-year players when they come on, whether it's balancing school, maturing physically? I talked to Jadarian about how he put on some weight the last couple of years. What do you see as the biggest challenge or what you guys try to focus on when you get someone on campus? What do you want them to focus on those first few months?
I think each individual is different.
Okay.
And a lot comes from the foundation that's set in high school. I use Rico as an example because he comes from a great high school program. Folsom they got a really good coaching staff, and he had a solid foundation in terms of understanding how to watch film, the schematic aspect of playing the wide receiver position. And so his adjustments probably was more with going to class, the time zone, the time change, the lifts and things like that. But everyone is different, but the ability to understand time management, they don't have a lot of free time, right? And so they have to understand how to manage their time and balance all the demands that Notre Dame puts on them. And the quicker they can do that, the quicker they can play at their fastest level, right? And that's the challenge. How do young guys play earlier than others? It's the ability to understand what you're asked to do so you can practice and perform at a high level. They all perform well in high school because they understand what they're doing. They're just playing fast. And so the guys that can come and adjust and play and practice at a fast pace are the ones that usually perform their earliest.
Rico, I want to ask you this question. It can be football related or non-football related, but you've been here now, if you came in January, almost a year. What's been your favorite part about being at Notre Dame so far?
realistically, it would be looking at the Golden Dome. Because like you said, like I came from a rough childhood, so like just seeing the Golden Dome like every day, like just brings me like to reality. Like, okay, I'm actually blessed. Like I get to be here, and because I get to be here, like that makes me want to be here even more. Like a lot of people don't get the opportunity that I get, that where I'm from. So I just look at the Golden Dome and just brings me back to like reality. Like, Rico, you're blessed. So don't take advantage. Like don't have like excuses. Like it just calms me down. I'll say, like especially with the season, you got classes, you got everything going on. So like you got to find somewhere or something that just brings you back down to earth. Like, and I feel like the Golden Dome, just seeing it sparkle, and you just feel like, oh, okay, like that's not in Sacramento, but
not in Sacramento anymore. Yeah, that's a great answer. I loved hearing that. I'll get you out of here, and I'll ask Coach what I ask everyone. We talked about a lot of older guys. It's great to have a young guy here because we can talk about his future here. What excites you? I mean, hearing that answer, that got me excited for him because he's going to look at that Golden Dome and have a great future here. What excites you about Rico at Notre Dame?
I think his opportunities for success are endless. And when you have that perspective, you have that humility, that understanding of how fortunate you are to be at a place like this. And obviously I got to recruit Rico, so I know kind of where he's come from and what a great opportunity this is. But he understands that. Some of our players don't always understand, the great opportunity they have. And so it starts with owning that position, and he works tirelessly. I mean, Rico works so hard at being successful at school, at the game of football, and in life. And so I can't wait to see him flourish. And he's just starting. He's done more than a lot of freshmen at his level, right? And I just can't wait to see him continue to build on what he's already started. And I'm excited to be on the journey with him.
Rico, thanks for coming by. We'll take a break.
I appreciate it.
All right, special guest this week, coming up on the final home game of the football season. So I thought it'd be a great idea to have the man in charge, Jack Swarbrick, join us. Jack, thanks for taking some time. This is your first time on Wake Up the Echoes.
I'm not sure how special a guest I am, but I'm honored to be here. I think it's great, and I love this format. I love what you guys have done this year. I think it creates a nice vibe and makes people relaxed, and you've had some great interviews, so congratulations.
Well, thanks. I don't take a lot of the credit. The people behind the scenes did a great job of building the set, making it – the couches are nice. It kind of does relax you. It has nothing to do with me. It's just you sit in a plush leather couch, and you kind of want to open up a little bit, right?
I'm about to go to sleep, actually, but
you can lay down. We can make this a therapy session if you want. So you're coming down the stretch here.
I need that.
Let's talk football. Let's talk about your time here as the AD. I want to go back to when you started. What did you anticipate your role being as it related to football when you got into this? It's obviously a very high-profile job. And then how did it maybe meet or exceed the expectations of what you thought this job would be as it relates to football coming in?
Well, when the day I was announced, a very good friend, Notre Dame alum, Michael Browning, called me and said, "You realize you only have one job, right?" And I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "It's football. You got to get that right." And it was good counsel. But I knew coming in there was an open question about the future direction of the football program that I needed to resolve. I needed to evaluate the program and decide what we were going to do. And that was the first major task.
It's had a lot of success in your time here. I think about 2012 undefeated season. I think about a couple college football playoffs. When you think about the football success specifically here, what are the flashbulb moments? What are the memories that come to mind about the football team?
Well, the first is sort of foundationally getting ourselves in a position for that success, right? Because I agree with you. I think 1 year aside,
right.
It has been a consistently high-performing program. It's among a very small number who have made the CFP more than once during my time, and really proud of that. But the challenge initially was to fix the foundation. It was broken, and everything about it was off. And part of hiring Brian Kelly was trying to find somebody who'd built a program.
Yeah. But
then also going about supporting the program by by adding on the elements, growing it the way it needed to grow to be able to be competitive in the environment it was in. So, we were nowhere in nutrition. We had to build that up. We were nowhere in sports science. We had to build that up. We lacked the right facilities, and on and on and on. And so sometimes you're just about needing to bring in a new coach.
Right.
Sometimes you're about, we need to rebuild the program, and that's where we were. And so the big overview takeaway for me as I reflect on it is we got that done. Yeah. Foundationally, this thing is really strong.
I got here in 2016, and they were just finishing up the buildings that now surround the stadium. You think about the video board that's been here since 2017, the new football facility. I saw it just as it was kind of coming out of that phase where it's moved into now, where it is state-of-the-art. As you leave, whenever that is at the end of the year, and you see those in the rearview mirror, will that be one of the things that you're most proud of, that all came together, like you said, and the foundation is now here for whatever happens going forward?
Yeah, without question. A dear friend and colleague, John Affleck Graves, the executive vice president for a long time here, great guy who served this university so well, took me aside once and said, whatever you do not come forward with a plan to add premium seating to the stadium. It'll cost you your job. And that was like meat to a dog. I was just like, all right, I know what I'm going to do now.
Top of the list.
But it was a good caution, right? You couldn't just do that. That wasn't Notre Dame. And so I actually started by thinking about how to create a home field advantage, because I got so frustrated after every game here. The opposing AD would come up to me and say, boy, we love playing here. I said, I don't want you to love playing here. I want you to hate playing here. And so it started down a path of how do we make it a harder venue to play in. But in the course of thinking about that, I realized that wasn't the issue at all. It was a real estate question, and that was campus had grown up around this stadium. Rockney built it way off campus. Even when I was here a million years ago, you felt like you needed to pack a lunch to go to the football stadium. And campus had grown up around it.
Mm-hmm.
And so the real question was, how do you take that venue and make it useful to the university on a year-round basis rather than 10 days a year?
Yeah.
And that's what led to the vision of adding. The initial proposal was 4 buildings, including one on the north side.
Yeah. Block some vistas, I think, right?
Well, we was going to be a low building.
Okay.
We wouldn't do that. We also, the original plan also had a bridge over to the Joyce Center, which on cold days I miss. But yeah, that was the notion, right? Make it a really compelling building on a year-round basis for the students and faculty and visitors to campus, and we achieved that.
I'm a little partial here because I worked on the staff that was heavily involved with the first couple years of the video board. But now that it's been around for 6 years, it's hard to remember. There was some pushback on there being a in-venue video board. Now it feels like the thing, everyone's kind of accepted it. They look forward to seeing what's going to be on there. You mentioned home field advantage. I'd love to hear you speak to what the impact you've seen from that video board, and if you can go back and remember how much pushback you did get.
Oh, there was enormous resistance. It was sort of an absolute can't go there point for a lot of people. They thought it would ruin the feel of the stadium, the history of the stadium. And, the good news is we could point to Wrigley Field and Fenway Park and say, I think they're still pretty great facilities, and they've got phenomenal video boards. But the way we really sold it in was sort of a Notre Dame way. We said, look, we think we need it for football and to create the right environment. But think of all the other things we do during the game that get lost. We bring a faculty member out on the field and honor them, and no one's paying any attention. We announce the mass schedule, right? No one's paying any attention. Heck, now the mass schedule announcement is one of the highlights of the game with Father Pete.
Yes.
Everybody goes crazy. But it was the reinforcement that we'd use it not just to add to the excitement of the game, but to send Notre Dame messages. And also we wouldn't use it for commercial purposes. There wouldn't be any advertising on it. And so it was helping people understand there could be a way to do it which fit with Notre Dame.
We also wouldn't have been able to see Obi in the stands.
We wouldn't have been able to see Obi. We actually had a recruit come in early in my time here who on his visit to the stadium said, you guys can't be very serious about football because there's no video board.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I thought, he's right. That's the impression we're gonna create here. Yeah, the first time I saw one of our players running for a touchdown, watching the video board to see where the pursuers were. I was so proud. I thought, man, we helped score a touchdown.
I can confirm too, being in the replay room, the few times we've managed to get I think there was a Durham Smythe catch, maybe 2017 or 18. He was in, they called him out, and immediately on the video board, his feet were shown inbounds. Crowd goes crazy. You'll never convince me the officials would have reviewed it before the next snap without that. So we took a lot of pride in it. It was great to see.
No, that's great. And, the other thing, we do the same thing everybody else in the world does, but our coaches have preferences for what they can see on the video board, right? And so we're careful to, you want this angle so you can evaluate this part of what we're doing? We'll show you that angle.
I want to go back a few years. It feels like both it was just a couple of days ago and then also a lifetime ago. 2020. I haven't really talked to you about this, but just getting through that year, specifically football. I mean, there was a time where it seemed like maybe there wasn't going to be a season, and then there was, and there were all these protocols. Was that the toughest portion of the time frame? Was that the toughest time in your position, or was there another time? I just think that getting through COVID had to be such a unique challenge that you'd never seen before, and hopefully we'll never see again.
It wasn't nearly the toughest, but it was among the most frustrating because there was so much bad information floating around, and I thought the decision-making was so askew in a lot of places, and we were on Zoom calls every day, conference or CFP or and it was challenging. The great thing was being at Notre Dame and having the clarity that this place has. When Father John announced we'd come back to school, for me, coming back to school meant we're playing sports.
Yeah.
It's part of Notre Dame. If we're coming back to in-person education, part of that in-person education includes playing sports. And our decision was pivotal to the college football season.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't want to overstate it, but you had the Big Ten and the Pac-12 say we're not playing. The ACC, SEC, and Big 12 had a working agreement that if any one of them decided not to play, the other two wouldn't. And that really came down to us. And I had a reporter call me during it and say, I'm going to ask you whether you're going to play football this year, but I want you to know you're the 12th AD I've called, and the first 11 said it depends on what Notre Dame does.
Wow.
And so I felt I had clear marching orders based on the university's decision, and we went forward. And, I took personal offense to people who thought we weren't being responsible. We thought the better evidence was we could go forward safely, and time proved us right.
Yeah. You mentioned the CFP. I think that's a topic that interests a lot of people. It's at 4 teams. It's going to go to 12. You've been involved with trying to, I think, optimize this process. Where do you see the future of it? What do you like about what we've seen from the CFP, and what do you think it's going to look like as it goes forward? I'm very excited about the future of the CFP, and I must say that 4-person working group that I worked with for a year and a half, Greg Sankey, the commissioner of the Big 12, Craig Thompson, Mountain West, and Bob Bowlesby, the Big 12, was about the most enjoyable committee assignment. And my world's full of committee assignments that I had in my time here. They were great colleagues, great to work with. Nobody brought a prejudice into the room, and we just worked our way through hundreds of models to come out to the one we came out to. And I'm really excited about it. One of the things we did was mapped out the prior 12 years with every model we developed. And when we looked back at this one and said, boy, look at these first-round matchups. These are going to be extraordinary. And then the quarterfinals they led to. And so it became a compelling model for us. But I'm so excited. You're going to get some first-round games that are just unbelievable. There's a world in which Notre Dame's hosting Georgia here in a playoff game. Just thinking about that, I get goosebumps thinking about, and it's going to be a cold weather game. Bring an SEC team up here. That has to be especially as you move out of the role you're in and going to be a Notre Dame alum and fan, what excites you the most, right?
Oh, absolutely. I think we're going to have some really memorable games, high-stakes games that we get to host.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we gave up the right to get a bye,
right,
as part of getting this model adopted. But the result is we'll probably be a first-round host more than most institutions.
Mm-hmm.
Be an interesting time of year to host. Campus will be closing, and the weather will be challenging, but I think it'll be a great football environment. As part of this process, some of my colleagues developed a concept in here that the host institution could, at its option, relocate the game somewhere else if it chose to. And these were all schools who were or institutions that were working on an assumption that a northern school would want to go somewhere like to an indoor venue.
Yeah.
It was bad weather, and I'm thinking, oh no, that's sort of perfect. Give me 12 inches of snow and let's go.
I love that. I want to talk about the football program and its future. And you mentioned you brought in Coach Kelly and really kind of turned the program back in the direction it's supposed to go. Everyone I talk to, and I talk to him every week with Coach Freeman, it's glowing reviews. He's the kind of guy you want in this job. But from my standpoint, I grew up on the West Coast. I knew Notre Dame because they're on NBC, and I knew them as the team that used to be good. And I grew up in the 90s, and it was the team that was great in the 80s and before that. I get the sense now, like, because of this sustained success, they're the team they're supposed to be. As you look forward, where do you want Notre Dame to be as Coach Freeman takes this team on his journey as the head coach?
We need to win a national championship. And we shouldn't be shy about articulating that. We got off track a little bit. It's taken some time to sort of rebuild that foundation and get it right. But we have the right head coach. I think we've got the best stadium in the country. I think we've got the best indoor practice facility in the country. We will address the football operations center next, and when we do that, we'll have the best complement of facilities of anybody. So we've got all the pieces, and I personally feel more strongly today than the day I made the decision, but I think we've got the right head coach to take us there. Mm-hmm. And you know, there are a lot of things I'll miss as I approach the end of my time here, but not being there when they win that national championship will be high on the list.
I was going to get you out of here with a question along those lines. Just, this is your last football season as the AD. You've got more time in this role as the rest of the seasons progress. But when you do return to a game, whenever that may be, again, as an alum, what do you think that experience will be like? Will you get to watch the games any differently, or will you still be in the back of your head very much invested as the former AD? I'm not a fan. I have a vested interest in this whole process.
Yeah, it'll be the latter as long as students I know or people I hired are part of the program,
Okay.
right? You'll have that view. Haven't decided yet whether I'll come back, right? I mean, that's
a big deal. Yeah.
That'll be a challenge for me to sort of work through that. I may be better off sitting at home throwing things at the television. But yeah, no, I mean, listen, this has been the privilege of a lifetime. Doing it at your alma mater is special. Doing it at this place is incredibly special. So it's been great. And, the people I've gotten to work with, the problems I've gotten to try and solve, it's all just been so great. It is the privilege of a lifetime.
Well, Jack, I hope we're going to get you back on one more time before your time here is done. But as far as a football capsule, this has been great. I want to thank you for just empowering this department to have the creativity to put on a show like this. This is my this is my 8th year, I think, actually being associated with Notre Dame. It's always fun to come work in this environment, follow the football team, obviously, but we get to do a lot of cool stuff, and it trickles down from the top. So thanks for what you've done. Obviously 16 years, but the 8 years I've been here, it's really made being around this place special and fun.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. And you bring up something that's really important to me. When people ask me the legacy question, one of the first things I always cite is Fighting Irish Media. Mm-hmm. When I got here, we had no digital media presence at all. And I felt so strongly that was critical for Notre Dame to develop and have that voice as a national institution. And when I look at the work this department does and you and your colleagues do, I mean, the headset video coming off the Duke game, the last 2 uniform reveals, the fun we had with J.D. Bertrand the other day, telling him he was a Campbell Award finalist. Nobody else is doing that. No one else has that quality of production and creativity, and it's one of the things I'll be most proud about as I leave.
It's been amazing to see it evolve. Thanks for the time, and hopefully talk to you soon.
Thanks, and be Irish.
It's now time for our From the Irish segment presented by TireRack.com as we wrap up this week's show. And it's going to be a little bit different for this episode. As you know, we're coming to the end of the football portion of Wake Up the Echoes. Marcus Freeman will be back 2 weeks from now to talk about the Wake Forest game and preview the final regular season game against Stanford. So next week, we get our first chance to talk to new Notre Dame men's basketball coach, Micah Shrewsbury. It'll be his first appearance on this show as we turn towards basketball season. That means that my challenge to you for this week's From the Irish segment is to submit us your all-time men's basketball starting 5 for Notre Dame. You can either tweet us at The Fighting Irish, or you can submit your questions or to the question portal that we normally have you come to for all of our guest submissions. We want to know who your top 5 starting 5 for men's basketball all-time is for this week's From the Irish question presented by TireRack.com. That'll also do it for this week's show. Want to thank again our guests this week, including Notre Dame Athletic Director Jack Swarbrick, and as always, Marcus Freeman for taking some time this week on the show. We'll talk to you next week with Notre Dame men's head basketball coach Micah Shrewsbury on Wake Up the Echoes.